Okay, let's get started. Hello. My name is Beth Heinley. Take this mask off. I am a performance artist here in Philadelphia. I do mostly guerrilla performance art practice, and I am currently the unofficial artist in residence at the Free Library of Philadelphia. And today's tour is based off some of my research from the library archives. And this will be a rendition of Andrea Frazier's Museum Highlights, where Andrea Frazier in 1989, just down the boulevard here, did a tour at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and parts of my performance today are taken directly by that tour and from that tour. And also I will be talking about the outside of the building, obviously, since the Free Library is currently closed due to COVID-19. So, onwards with the tour. In the event of the COVID-19 pandemic, I am giving a virtual tour outside the library as substitute to its once daily tours from volunteer docents. I ask if you are here with me in person today to please keep to social distancing. And that would be 6 feet of space between each person. Since we are outside, there is less of a risk of transmitting the coronavirus, which has so far proven to not be airborne, but rather transmitted via heavy droplets from sneezing, coughing, or in casual conversation. Indoor, heavy droplets can remain in the air for up to 1 hour. This is why the Free Library is currently closed. Outside, we are relatively safe. Let's not forget to remember the 3 C's: a clean mouth, a clean skin, and clean clothes. I am very honored to give a building tour of the Free Library's Central Branch, nestled along Philadelphia's Grand Benjamin Franklin Parkway, across from Local Circle, the very place where in 1823, Philadelphia had its last public hanging of William Gross. Gross was put to death for murdering his girlfriend, Keziah Stowe. These were typical allegories within the daily lives of working class life. Past the 1820s, public perception in the city towards criminal punishment had shifted from physical coercion and public humiliation to redemption and rehabilitation through confinement. The building tour today, entitled Public Library, Important People, will feature prominent dates and historical figures from the Free Library's beginnings, with the constructions of its central branch. You know, my own ancestral roots connect to this very library, as general public, of course, not patron. My great-grandfather, David William O'Donnell, first-generation Philadelphian, my family first immigrated to America from Ireland in 1830, Catholic. David lived just blocks from this library in the Fairmount neighborhood, then a working class neighborhood who catered to the wealthy residents of Philadelphia, some of whom resided in this very spot. In mansions, long bulldozed to make way for the public library, envisioned by William Penn along a diagonal amidst a grid. This was my great-grandparents' library, and today it is mine. They could have even been present when the library first opened its doors on June 2nd, 1927. It is important to begin with the ethos that is the Free Library of Philadelphia. Here at the Free Library, we encourage and host conversations about differences. Sorry, my note cards are going to be annoying, and hopefully don't fall out of my hand. Complex social issues. The library exists to provide opportunities for discussion, supported by educational resources, access to a vast array of information, and ideas that transform communities, open minds, and promote inclusion. So even my great-grandfather, a chauffeur, and his wife, my great-grandmother, Elizabeth O'Donnell, a housekeeper, and today myself, a third-generation housekeeper, the lower class, residents unable to make a go of it, because of character deficiencies or lack of skill. The new poor, multi-problem families, the culture of poverty, disreputable poor, paupers who cannot cope, make noise, cause trouble, and generally create problems. The lower lowers may have access to higher culture and knowledge within the very same walls as Philadelphia's most prominent philanthropists. Incredible. Knowledge is power. In addition to its holdings, the Central Library offers a multitude of programs and public services for children and adults. Once a favored watering hole for amateur rafting enthusiasts, young children from the neighborhood once played in the library's open foundation. Now home to the newly renovated 400 square foot Marie and Joseph Field Teen Center, which was designed as a teen-oriented activity center where young adults can form study groups and have access to young adult fiction and nonfiction. The free library stands today with riches including many treasures, ranging as far as Sumerian cuneiform tablets that are over 4,000 years old. The Illuminati is real. In fact, the Free Library's central branch architect, Horace Trumbauer, built in limestone, along with intricate carvings on the facade, the Herbert N. Strass House, now the largest private residence in Manhattan and home of deceased financier Jeffrey Epstein. I bet Jeffrey Epstein would have wanted to hang out in the Marie and Joseph Field Teen Center. Epstein's mansion, like the Free Library Municipal Building, exemplifies the classic but opulent style requested of industry robber barons of that time. Outside of Manhattan, Trumbauer designed neighborhoods of the robber baron class of Philadelphia as well, Wayne Estates and Overbrook Farms. The nice part of Overbrook. The building can also be understood as a product of intersecting historical forces. That included the aesthetic ideals and increasing technological abilities of the architects and engineers, the aspirations of the library's trustees, the political wills of several contrasting mayoral administrations, and the conflicting interests affecting an industrial and commercial city at its zenith. It wasn't until Trumbauer's death in 1938 that we learned that it was, in fact, Julian Abel, the first African-American graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, who was the actual designer of the Free Library Central Branch. White people appropriating the contributions of Black culture has long been a favored pastime of American culture, a time-honored tradition not beneath the Free Library of Philadelphia. Even today, down the boulevard of this esteemed municipal University Museum-laid Parkway, the Philadelphia Museum of Art co-credits Abel's contribution to its design. Both Trumbauer and Abel greatly admired France's 18th century classical architecture, and especially that of Gabriel, King Louis XV's chief architect. From 1742 to 1745. Who created the influential style of Louis XV, exampled here, well, we're gonna have to cross the street, as the Great Greek Garage. There you have it, the Great Greek Garage. Set behind a low enclosing wall, the library building was projected to stand on a solid base, proudly overlooking Logan Square Circle and the Fairmount Parkway beyond. Wide flights of steps linked Vine Street with entrance portholes, which occupy the middle 3 bays of the 11-bay central section of the rusticated first floor. flanking the central section, projecting pavilions on each side. 3 bays wide terminate the main facade. At the second floor level, above a horizontal band, colossal Corinthian columns support an entablature as well as pediments at the pavilion. Finally, a robust classical balustrade tops the grand building. Abel's architectural mark is seen across the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, literally with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Oh, I walked too far away. And today, you can visit Abel Park on 22nd and Carpenter Streets, resurrected in his name in 2012. Philadelphia Museum of Architect Fisk Kimball called Abel one of the most sensitive designers in America today. Smithsonian Magazine described him as, and I quote in a career retrospective, probably the most accomplished black architect of his era. That's a direct quote. Despite being the primary designer of Duke University, Abel refused accommodations at a Durham hotel during a visit to campus. Although it was not until 1988 that a portrait of him was displayed at the university, the main quad at Duke University is now officially named Abel Quad, with a dedication plaque prominently displayed at the busiest spot on campus. Better late than never. Today it's widely credited that Julian Abel designed the Free Library building. Quite frankly, I would like to extend my thanks to Julian Abel for the opportunity to point to a historic building in Philadelphia and not say built by Frank Furness. Frank Furness was Unitarian. Oh, it looks here to be the general public cannot wait to get into the Free Library. What a difference there may be on opposite sides of a thin partition wall. On this side of the wall is a family inclined to dirt and disorder because of its unperfect social education. Cleanliness of persons or rooms wholly forgotten. The floors become littered with filth, for no one feels the desire or obligation to have it otherwise. The rights of property are disregarded or are only respected through fear and personal force. On the other side of the wall, only a few inches away, the floor, neatly carpeted, is spotless. It stands to reason that slovenly and destructive occupants are not accorded the same attention that is given to those who are clean and prompt on their payments, careful and prompt on their payments, which is why the mission of the Free Library is to provide to all segments of the city. The population, of the city's population, a comprehensive collection of recorded knowledge, ideas, artistic expression, and information. Assure ease of access to these materials and offer programs that stimulate the awareness and use of these resources with no late fee charges. First imagined in the 1890s, begun in earnest in 1910, and not completed for nearly 17 years, the Central Library building is a triumph of civic architecture and library science, as well as a monument to the fortitude, commitment, and aspirations of the libraries, trustees, local politicians, architects, and last but certainly least, the general public, who preserved during these dates of tribulation, including a legal and political battles and a world war. When librarians from throughout the nation met in Philadelphia in 1876 to found the American Library Association, the Quaker City, according to its wealthy upper class, boasted numerous private subscription libraries, but no free public library. Like those established in many American cities, during the preceding decades. After the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania regulated municipal libraries in 1887, Dr. William Pepper launched an effort to establish a free library in Philadelphia. Simultaneously, he launched a similar effort to erect a modern library building at the university, designed by famous architect Frank Furness. The university's library was quickly completed, and by 1891, the Free Library's main building, on the other hand, would not be completed for nearly 4 decades. If my sarcastic tone is not evident through my speaking voice, let me assure you, I'm stating that private property from a university comes with the advantage of efficiency and timely construction, while public property comes at the disadvantage of inefficiency and untimely construction, barred by bureaucracy, which is fantasized by neoliberals to only exist within the public sector. This last section of information is brought to you by the Free Library's website, which leaves out the first libraries established. Darby Library, and then affluent Darby in Delaware County, in 1743, and from class trader Benjamin Franklin, whose great-great-granddaughter, by the way, was married to Dr. William Pepper, the Free Library's founder. Franklin's Library Company was founded in 1731, though both of these libraries were available only under paid membership. It was not until Dr. William Pepper, a physician, educator, and the provost of the University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia's reigning esteemed educational institution, and overseer in establishing Wharton Business School, everyone's favorite scholar residence, would come along with a rich uncle, George S. Pepper, to go on to establish Philadelphia's first public library. Okay, this is an example of the location distance of library of Darby to Philadelphia. Okay, there you have it. Shout out Frank Sheeran. In 1891, George S. Pepper made a transformational gift to establish the Free Library of Philadelphia. George S. Pepper was an esteemed philanthropist committed to the betterment of Philadelphia's cultural, financial, and medical communities. His family lineage dates back to Pennsylvania's wealthy landowners, not tenants. The Peppers, who immigrated from London, Quakers, who bought land from William Penn in 1681, made their fortune in beer, of course. Let me get that in there. Backwards. In 1889, George S. Pepper bequeathed approximately $225,000 to establish a governing apparatus for a free library of Philadelphia, which would in turn raise an endowment to build and maintain a library system. And now you have the opportunity to follow in George S. Pepper's footsteps. For just $150 a month, you too can become a member of the Free Library's King's Circle, which gets you into all the author events, including prioritized seating at the most popular of author events. There are many other exclusive circles you can join whose rewards read off like a defunct Kickstarter, including items like exclusive concerts in the rare book department, free lunch with Free Library's president, Siobhan A. Reardon. And let's see, in regards to the Philadelphia Library being closed during COVID-19, it's important to note that there are no refunds for Circle memberships. Regarding the city's new public library, Pepper grandly proclaimed, "This is the people's library, absolutely free to all, except of course, author events, concerts, and galas." Speaking to everyone who enters, the main library building is designed to participate in the education of the general public, the fundamental tenet upon which the American Public Library movement was founded, in order to promote civic engagement. You know, I heard at a Sunday brunch not long ago, everybody it seems these days has horror stories. A man with a magnificent house on Delancey Place says he can't keep flowers outside because every morning he finds the pots overturned and his sidewalk covered with filth and litter. Another man tells of seeing a street bum who seems to have taken every available nook and cranny and stairwell, sprawled in front of Nan Duskin on Walnut Street, where George S. Pepper once resided, among many upper-class Philadelphians. Nobody could move this bum, not even the police. And how does one stimulate civic engagement? Well, William S., one of the Peppers, assembled a group of prominent Philadelphians to organize the library. But even before they acted, 3 private libraries filed a suit disputing the will and claiming the bequest. Directed by the Board of Education, the city's library system, named the Philadelphia Public Library, opened its first of 6 branches at the Wagner Free Institute of Science in 1892. In early 1894, the courts ruled in favor of the Free Library in its legal battle over the Pepper will, granting it the entirety of the bequest. Freed from litigation and guided by the motto, Libre, Libere, Omnibus, meaning free books for all, head librarian John Thompson, WASP, opened the Free Library's first central branch at City Hall in March 1894. And at the end of 1894, the city's councils consolidated the Philadelphia Public Library into the Free Library of Philadelphia under a new board of trustees, which together with the original board of directors continued to operate the library until his untimely death in 1898. Founder William Pepper headed the library. That year, the Free Library, only in operation for a short time, already boasted 160 employees, 14 branches, and 250,000 volumes. Its circulation, 1,778,387 for the year, was the world's largest. More than a century later, Pepper's words continue to guide the Free Library of Philadelphia. This is the people's library, absolutely free to all. The press applauded the beauty and utility of the majestic new library, which, contemplated for more than 30 years, had taken 15 to construct. The impressive collections housed at the Free Library's Central Library branch have advanced Philadelphians educationally, culturally, and economically. The imposing library building itself, besides enriching viewers with its instructive architectural and ornamentation, has contributed to the significant civic center at Logan Square Circle, along with its twin, adjacent family court nearby, Franklin Institute buildings by architects John T. Windrum and W. Morton Keese. The Free Library building forms an important communal gathering place at the midpoint of the Fairmount Parkway, and despite the addition of the Vine Street Expressway, which you can see down there, a necessary passage in addition to assured safe passage into the city from the suburbs. This is why the Vine Street Expressway was built. After World War II, the home of the Free Library remains one of the city's most dignified and noteworthy public places. Today, the library stands as one of the city's cultural keystones, providing educational enrichment and a vital social utility connecting residents with jobs and opportunities. And healthcare, information. In early 1927, before the new library opened, a local newspaper proclaimed the potential of the great structure that had started as a dream more than 3 decades earlier. The transfer of books to the new Free Library has begun. An institution whose importance and usefulness have not been fully appreciated is about to begin its work. The building at Logan Square Circle is far more than a book storage to which the public can go and read and borrow. It has unique facilities for the spread of culture. Properly supported, it will perform service of incalculable value. And today, The Free Library continues its tradition through the transfer of books to underground stacks in order to free up its use of space to include private events. Imagine, just behind these doors, seated at the top of a grand staircase, stands a monument to a monumentally wealthy family. Brewers originally, a statue commemorating Dr. William Pepper, nephew of prominent philanthropist George S. Pepper, uncle to state senator George Wharton Pepper, and cousin to William Platt Pepper, first director of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Those who build the new buildings are the same as those who build the new buildings being torn down. That's a mouthful. Those who build the new buildings are the same as those who built the buildings being torn down. A shame Dr. William Pepper would not live to see this one. Where, behind those doors, now you too can follow in the footsteps of your ancestors and rent space for your upcoming wedding or yoga class. The future of our great public libraries doesn't include reading books. It's about event space. Omnibus privatus utrisque locum, private event space for all. Inquire within. In conclusion to today's tour, I would like to thank the Free Library's extensive digital archive pertaining to its history and of its Central Branch building as my reference guide for today's tour. Additionally, I would like to thank Google Search, Google Books, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Pennsylvania State Records, the Penn Library's digital records in my research of the Pepper family lineage and estates, who are all, every one of them, buried at Laurel Hill Cemetery. My family's at Holy Cross, along with Frank Sheeran and H.H. Holmes. And by further extension, let me see if I can find a good point. I can. And by further extension, the general public, buried in unmarked graves beneath Logan Circle.